Hello, all you Porkys International followers. How are you doing? It's Russ here. Hope you're well. I'm just waiting for Mark to log on. It's all good stuff. How are you doing, Mark?
How are you, Russell?
I'm all
How
right. What are you on
you
with?
doing?
I'm all
Oh,
right.
we got a nice virus there. Yeah,
Nice one.
all good, all good. Been looking forward to this today.
Yeah, yeah, it is. I've just got that off images for COVID. Is that what it is? That a virus?
It pretty much looks like that COVID virus that they put in front of us for like a few years. Yeah, it's exactly exactly like that. Yeah, like we've never seen one, but
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Brilliant. Mark, you obviously CEO of Human Nutrients. How's it going? Is everything going all right?
yeah, grinding away with it as it goes. Yeah,
Brilliant. I've said on
doing
my
the NMN sales.
yeah, I said on my previous channel tonight. I've just done a video on Porky's Corner, and on my other channel, and I've said I'm going to have you on once a week on this because we're going to talk about a few controversial things that have gone on it past COVID, and there's other things that have happened in the last 40 or 50 years. And I'm going to get your opinion on it. But COVID is something that you refused to have the injection, Mark, didn't you? And you've been very passionate about it and very vocal. I want to ask you what you think from beginning to end. We're going to have a quick 20 minutes or so on here. Just let me know what you think because I know you've digested this for about 5 years now, haven't you?
Absolutely, yeah, yeah. For me, it was something that I could. I just wasn't happy with it. I'd read this book on epigenetics, and that had just been kind of discovered at the time how your diet, lifestyle, stress levels all affect your DNA and the way they express and eventually create you. And and I realized when I was reading that book how little we actually know about the genome and genes and how they actually work. Like we think we've got a good grasp, but most of the DNA that we're looking at, like it was only about 10 years ago, they were calling it junk DNA. But it turns out they call it non-coding DNA, and it withholds everything that we've been through, all our ancestors since we crawled out the ocean, if you like.
Yeah,
And all the diseases we've gone through and everything, it's a record. And to just tweak that willy-nilly with some synthetic thing that they've knocked up in a lab, like in double quick time, just didn't seem right. So I just stayed back from it. And then when I saw the pressure that they were applying, there was no way this is going to be any good for you. And all the scientists that were like there was one that was working for Pfizer, and he was saying this is absolutely, this is terrible. This mRNA, creating a spike protein that for the rest of your life, your own immune system is going to attack, and
yeah,
in attacking it, it removes all the cells around it, all the healthy cells. So yeah, I just saw, for me, it was a propaganda thing, and I was kind of horrified at how everyone fell for it, kind of thing, including like family, friends, and people I'd have thought like and medically trained professionals and people that I thought would have been more resilient to it.
yeah.
And
What do you think of
yeah,
all
so that
the
was
NHS, Mark? What do you think to the NHS, how they dealt with it? Because when I went for my jab, and it were like that film with Dustin Hoffman, you know, Outbreak, and they all had these space suits on. And I were
okay.
queuing with all these people, and everybody was shitting the pants. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Nobody
I
knew what
remember
to
the
do.
fear.
We had these like robot type people in
Yeah,
space suits telling us where to go and what where to stand. It were freakish.
yes, yes. Yeah, obviously I didn't go for my jabs. I kind of tried to stay away from it as much as I could. But I refused to wear the face masks as well, simply because I was listening to the real science out there. It was the equivalent of wearing a face mask. It was the equivalent of expecting um, goal netting, the netting behind a goalpost, to stop sand going through it. It just couldn't stop a virus, no matter what you do. There's no way it's going to stop a virus. So I didn't get into that kind of thing. obviously there's like you'd see social pressure from people like, trying to glare at you because you haven't got a mask on. And
Yeah.
yeah, the amount of propaganda and conditioning was kind of frightening. They call it a psyop now kind of thing, in
What do you
hindsight. And
think,
it
Mark,
really
about
was.
what did you think about the people, the BBC saying that we all had to buy that hand sanitizer and people on street corners selling it at 25 quid a bottle and stuff, and
I know
people
a friend
running
of
into
mine ended up
yeah,
doing exactly that. Yeah,
yeah,
buying it in from China, selling it. Yeah. Again, hand sanitizer. Apparently, you've got a layer of bacteria on your hands that pretty much is useful. You've got a bacterial biome on your skin, and the last thing you want to be doing, and it is protective, and the last thing you want to be doing is wiping that off with an alcohol, isopropyl alcohol. That's not good for you in itself. There's a whole science behind that, and there are a lot of things that they're asking you to do. I found extreme, and again didn't take part in the hand sanitizer side of it. You're obviously clean, and I remember when I got COVID, it was like having the flu but like with really, really sore, aching muscles for me and like fatigue, and it didn't last that long. Only last about a week, and and that was it. Like I was kind of through it, and I thought, right, well, I've got antibodies to it now. It hasn't done any damage to me, so a vaccine was completely out of the question for me, and especially an mRNA jab because they've actually hijacked the word vaccine. Because we associate vaccine with being good. Um, uh, and giving us an mRNA shot. That's not really a vaccine. A vaccine is a small piece of virus that you put in to train your immune system against it. But they said, oh, we're training your immune system against this spike protein. But the thing is, it never gets trained. It is always attacking any spike proteins it's seen. And if your cells are producing it, it's attacking those cells. There's a further thing that's come up as well. There's a lot of I heard it a couple of years ago, but it's resurfaced again, like a lot more. Funeral home directors that are embalming bodies are unable to get the blood out of the corpses and put formaldehyde in because these fibrous clots are forming within the arteries, blood vessels, and veins. And they've never been seen before. When you pull them out, they're like this cotton wool type structure.
yeah.
And so they end up clogging the arteries. People get high blood pressure and everything. They're more susceptible to strokes and heart attacks. And as you can see, we've gone through like this unheard of heart attacks in younger people. Like apparently I saw a statistic that more athletes have died in the last 3 years than in the last 25 years, like early of, unforeseen circumstances. So yeah, it's kind of chronic. I remember where they couldn't finish tournament, a tennis tournament. I forget exactly which one it was, but it was a high level tournament and they couldn't get through because of the fitness levels.
Yeah, yeah, it's crazy. What did you make of all the panic buying? Like you had old dears scrapping in Asda over the last packet of tea cakes, and they thought all the world were going to end. It was crazy, wasn't it? Really, a mad time, wasn't it? And nobody's allowed out the house. I mean, how did they manage to pull this off? This is like the biggest. I don't know. I don't know what it is. It's the biggest scam of the last 100 year, isn't it? Really, when you think about it, what's gone on, including
Well,
World
it
War.
is, yeah, yeah. It's when you think about it that they leveraged everything they got. Every celebrity, every two-bit celebrity, your Gary Linekers, all of them, like all your presenters. Then you got everybody was leveraged to get you to take this vaccine, to coerce you into it in some kind of way. And if they weren't towing the line, they were out of there. I tell you, it's been more of a revelation for us, really, to actually see how that machine works, how the pharmaceutical media and government all work in synergy to coerce you into whatever they want. And yeah, I found it's unbelievable. And just the same way, it's like, yeah, you're going to be sneezing a lot. So what happens? People run out and clear the shelves of toilet roll, are fighting over bog roll in Morrison's or whatever. That's what they were doing. There were crazy times. But once people have got fear in them, they go nuts,
Yeah.
and yeah, it was a strange time, lockdown. I think it changed a lot, like, working practices, and but what it did do is it give the nosy neighbour um full reign to do his job.
Yeah.
Where they were, yeah, looking over the fence, and I think my sister had it at some point. Some neighbour. I went and sit round to see my sister, and technically you're in the bubble and all that.
Yeah.
Not that I was too worried about the rules at that time, but a neighbour came and knocked on the door and told her, "Oh, you're not allowed guests and this and that." So that was the level of, of people being brainwashed into. It's a little bit like the Holocaust. People, the whole of Germany. It was involved in that in some kind of way. Do you know what I mean? The army, the people everybody involved, that everybody that played a part, and it was just like this. They actually managed to flip people into some crazy behaviors. Watching people and enforcing, these quasi rules that have just plucked out of the air, kind of thing. And it's like Fauci now, I believe, they're looking at potential charges for him.
Yeah, it's. Do you think that some people in government made a few quid out of this and stock exchanges and also? I mean, I look at it like this, right? Everybody's decided to work from home, and all these office spaces in tower blocks and that were all empty. I mean, what's going to happen to all them now? It's had a massive knock-on effect for the economy, didn't they? But somebody must have made some money out of this, surely, even in the pharmaceutical companies. What do you think?
There's no doubt about it. Like, apparently the stock prices for AstraZeneca went off the charts, and obviously the government are in the know because they're the ones purchasing the stuff, so they're going to know which ones are being had. And a bit like in America, the old Nancy Pelosi, the insider trading. I'm sure a lot of people made a lot of money. Then you got that Baroness Moore. I forget, a baroness, an MP. She and her husband ripped the government off for the tune of something like 33 million, and I don't believe that's been paid back as yet. So a lot of people made a lot of money out of it. Absolutely, there's no doubt. I believe, what else? I think we gave 500 million to set up a vaccine research centre in King's Cross, and all sorts of monies was given to these pharmaceutical companies. And for me, the scary thing was how they actually generated the vaccine. They had the mRNA delivery system all good to go. All they needed was a fragment of the genetic code for COVID itself, to produce the spike protein, and that got emailed in. I remember watching, emailed in, and within 3 4 days they got this vaccine done. And that was right at the start of 21, Oxford University. And they even used Oxford University to give it that stamp of approval. Oh, it was developed at Oxford, and all of that kind of thing. So it really was pushed over as some life-changing, fantastic thing. And I believe they're still trying to run with it, where they're trying to come out with vaccines for cancer now using the mRNA system. But I'm not too sure about it. I know the mRNA, right? Apparently, I saw another statistic as well that there's something like 20 million died as a direct result of the vaccine worldwide. There was a state in America that, I forget which one, I heard this a few weeks ago, is declaring a state of emergency because the amount of 1-year-olds, the amount of children that aren't making it to one. The whole fertility thing, it attacks fertility in women. It's terrible. Yeah, it has affected our population like a holocaust.
Would you put it past them doing something like this again, Mark? But would they get away with it this time?
Well, you see, I think the thing is it feels like we're constantly under attack, from the fluoride in our water to this new thing that Bill Gates, because we've got a weak government at the moment that will absolutely accept anything. And Bill Gates has managed to get his way into the largest milk producer in the UK, Isla Milk. And they 60% of their cattle is for producing beef. But this compound, right? They're putting a compound within the milk, and apparently it stops the cows farting, it stops the methane gas cows produce by digesting their food.
Yeah.
And that's meant to be good for the environment and good for global warming, all of that carry on. And but the strange thing is, only 25% of the head of cattle go for dairy production, for milk production, and that's where they're putting this compound. The compound's called Bovia. In Japanese testing, it was shown to produce cancers. Not a very nice compound. We're not fully sure of it. That again, just like the vaccine, it's untested. Yet it's been put in at population level. But the strange thing is, they're not interested in putting it in the beef cattle because it doesn't actually get into the meat, can't get passed through to you. Whereas this gets into the milk and gets passed into us. And so it's like a long-acting slow toxin, a bit like the COVID jab. People are dropping dead 3 years later. You can't fully attribute it to the vaccine, but you got to read between the lines. So yeah, and then obviously the fluoride side of it, the 5G. There's a lot of things that are upsetting our system and our delicate balance. Also, the food, the way the food's produced. There's a lot of toxins in the food. So yeah, it's kind of a minefield to stay healthy. So to answer the question, I think we're under attack all the time in different ways, but this has been the worst, most blatant um, attempt so far.
It's nearly as bad as mad cow's disease, isn't it?
There was another thing as well, right? If you remember in 2011, we had SARS, swine flu, and all that carry on, and our government bought a ton of this Tamiflu, and it was minimal. I think about 30% effective, and so we was thought we'd come out with something like Tamiflu again, but we didn't. We went straight for this mRNA jab, but it's almost like we had a dry run with that swine flu, and then this was the real deal, and that was in 2011. Yeah, the mad cow disease again. It comes from going against nature. They were feeding bloody cows other carcasses of other cows, and then the next like cannibalism, and then the next thing the cows are coming down with mad brain diseases and all sorts. Yeah, it does happen going against nature. And these slaughterhouses and these industrial cattle places are absolute breeding grounds for disease, and that's why antibiotics the doctor's all scared of giving them. Most of them don't work because they've had to use them all on these on the cows, on cattle, and that's why a lot of antibiotics don't work. And now we're at risk of these superbugs in hospitals that will literally eat your flesh that are antibiotic resistant, all because of the farming practices. So yeah, it's a bloody nightmare.
Where did it all start, Mark? The COVID, though, because Trump says it was the Chinese. Is that where this virus came from?
Well, what they're now saying as well is, with this USAID, where they got Elon Musk and his team of hackers. Well, they've proven that this Wuhan lab in China was given funding for gain of function, see if they can make it lethal. Um, Research into viruses. So there's definitely been American funding gone in there. And then yeah, the 100%, it hasn't come from a bat. It's 100% come out of a lab. Yeah, definitely. And
Yeah.
the whole thing about a bat, like, is genius, really. And as a distraction, and that's what we've got in the media right now, and we're seeing it in every level, from where they're claiming people are far right, and they're just concerned mothers and individuals. They're using the media as a tool against us. They've seen the power that it had during COVID. Like it can
Yeah.
clear out the whole city in toilet rolls. You know, and it's quite scary. It's quite scary, and yeah, I think they've got quite good at it, and they're manipulating us with it
Do you think the
slightly.
media played a massive part with COVID and jumping on it with what the government were telling them?
if it wasn't for the media, I wouldn't have known about it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean, Russell? Honestly,
Yeah.
God, if it weren't everywhere, I wouldn't have known about it. I had a little flu that I kind of like walked off. So to me, like it wasn't really anything, and that's all it was. It was just a hyped up
Bit of flu.
flu. But I do know people actually. I've got to say that a friend of mine nearly lost his life. But again, the ventilators were things that were going to kill you because what they were doing, and I couldn't understand this at the time, is they give you no treatment for this COVID. So you've got this virus running rampant in your system, destroying everything, chewing up your brain, raising your body temperature, everything, attacking your lungs so you can't breathe, even though it's your own immune system that attacks your lungs. And they whack you on a ventilator with no treatment or anything and see if you survive. To me, and when you go on a ventilator, they put you under, you're unconscious, and if you wake back up, you're lucky. And that's how it was. People were just checking out on these ventilators because there was no treatment for the virus. They couldn't say, "Oh, I feel really ill" or anything. You're just there while this thing runs riot in your cells. So the ventilators were pretty much I don't know, a treatment that didn't need to happen, in my opinion.
Yeah. What about all the people that every time anybody died at the hospital, they said, "Oh, it's COVID that," and all these people were dying of COVID. I mean, we've got more people dying now than they have in 1870, haven't we, at the moment?
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. People somebody would get hit by a bus and they'd write it up as a COVID death, but and it's the complicitness of all the medical people that are involved in it,
Mm.
and yeah, I know people in our family that went full headlong into it and supported it, and it's only now that I wouldn't have a vaccine now, and oh yeah, I see it now, but at the time they were. Yeah, they were completely involved in it. I wouldn't hear a word in any other way. And it was quite frightening. It was quite
My
frightening.
heart goes out to all them people that died of it in hospital. I mean, I've got a good friend called Frank Smith from Bury. He's 80 now, and his lovely missus Betty, she passed away, and he weren't allowed to see her. And it were awful. But I'm not sure if Betty were on a ventilating machine or what. But I just. I just think all them people that ended up in hospital, and we don't know what they were sticking in them while they were in hospital, and they won't let any relatives go near them, and everybody had masks on. It were all a bit bizarre, wasn't it?
It
My
was a
heart goes out.
crazy time. Absolutely. And like I say, death certificates were getting written out in any old fashion. Nothing was getting checked. If some serial killer wanted to slip a few bodies through the system, that was the time to do it. you know. But oh yeah, a lot went unchecked, and I feel for a lot of the people, behind these shields and these crazy rules that were just coming out in the end, and I think it was like a pantomime to keep you constantly on your toes. It's 3 meters now. Now it's 2 meters. It's okay if you sit down in a restaurant, you can take your mask off. There was constant, updates to it. I think keep people on the toes. They needed the next dose of drama, if you like. To keep the thing going, to keep the narrative going, rather than people sitting there questioning it. But
Yeah, it's craziness, isn't it?
yeah, we've never seen anything like it. Hopefully, we don't see anything like it again.
Yeah. Imagine if you'd have had your product out then, Mark. Do you think it could have helped people?
Well, in the time, I tell you, I did do some researching at the time, and well, I was kind of shocked. After that 2011 swine flu, they were looking for a further compound, and they come across milk thistle, what people usually use to help the liver. Well, within it, there's actually the active ingredient that actually does help the liver regenerate is called silymarin, and it's a family of 7 molecules, and one of those molecules is extremely antiviral. And when they back to back tested it against this Tamiflu, it was almost 3 times as effective. So, and it works against the flu. It works against a lot of viruses. It's antiviral, and I'm not saying it's amazing, like will stop everything, but it will definitely help with flus and colds. And to try and, you know, I take it, and I take it to this day. But at the time, I was trying to put it out there, and Facebook wouldn't let me run ads on it and all sorts, you know, because it was contrary to what the narrative was at the time.
Well, anybody who said anything about it on Facebook, they got hammered, didn't they, off Facebook, didn't they? They were
Oh,
all
absolutely. And shadow banned and suppressed and attacked by everybody. Yeah. Yeah, very much so. I had a little bit of that myself. Yeah.
yeah. All right.
And you know, in Congress, I think Zuckerberg, yeah, you know, his staff were constantly asked to take posts down, and the level of suppression has never been seen before.
Yeah. Okay. Well, listen, it's been great to have a bit of a catch up and a chat about this, and we'll have to note some more topics, and we'll have to get you on regular, and we'll cover some other things. Is that all right, Mark?
Absolutely, yeah, nice to be on here. Yeah, yeah,
All right
that's
then. Well,
fantastic.
listen,
Lovely. Good
have a
chatting
great
to you this
evening.
evening.
Have a great evening, Mark, and thanks for coming on and giving us your views on COVID. And it was a bad time for the UK, especially, and
Oh,
well, the whole world,
absolutely,
wasn't
yeah.
it? And now we look back on it.
It's unbelievable to look back on it.
We
Yeah,
were
it's
conned.
like, yeah, it's almost like it never happened. It's like too much. Yeah, we were conned, and yeah, I just feel for anybody that's that lost
Passed
loved
away and
ones and
lost the relatives. And
passed away. Yeah, or has health issues now. Yeah,
all right then. Well, listen, you take care, Mark, and all the
and you speak to
keep
you
in touch.
soon. Bye.
Thank you, mate.
Have a good night.
Thank you very
Bye
much.
bye.
Well, that were Mark Howard from Birmingham. Nice to get him on. He's got some strong opinions on COVID. What do people think? Do we all agree with Mark? Uh, I think I do. I think it were I were one of them people. I just wanted to get my jab and get back and get my teeth sorted because I couldn't get out of the country. But looking back on it now, I wasn't going to have it. If I put a deposit down on my teeth and the other work I was having done out there, I wouldn't in Turkey. Uh, I wouldn't have had the jab, but I needed to get it done. But I do regret it now, especially when I know people who've lost loved ones and stuff like that. But what were going on in them hospitals, like, you know what I mean? It just makes you wonder, doesn't it? But anyway, okay, thanks for liking and subscribing and leaving a comment. We will have Mark on again next week. We've got Liam who comes on the channel on Porky's Corner. His dad Mark, he's called Mark as well. His dad Mark Jones, he's going to come on next week, and we're going to discuss some more hard hitting topics. Okie dokie. All right. Peace out. Thanks for sharing the videos as well. And let's get this channel of mine, Porkys International, up to 1,000 subscribers. We're nearly there now. I think we're on about 680, is it, or something, 690 or whatever. So, okie dokie, we're getting there. Got to put the hard yards in. Well, peace out.